No beam, no beam until October. The Kings season is over. They lose to the Pelicans 105-98. They really couldn't make a move in the fourth quarter. They were down by as much as 20. The Pelicans beat the Kings for the sixth time this season. No playoffs this year for the Sacramento Kings after being a 3 seed and going 7 games with the Warriors. Here we are in 23-24, and the Kings are not a playoff team. This is a disappointing season in my book. I want to hear from you. I think this is a step back. I'm aware that they didn't have Monk and Herter, but the team that they lost to tonight didn't have Zion Williamson, okay? I think this is a step back season. I really do. I mean, no playoffs? Didn't make a playoffs. And I've been talking about this for a couple of months now, the inconsistency of this team. This team tonight had 21 assists, and they had 15 turnovers. This team tonight was only 11 of 41 from 3. And I'm tired of seeing Fox chuck up 3 after 3 after 3. I don't like it. You know, I don't want to see De'Aaron Fox take 16 threes. It's too many. The season's over. We're going to talk about it. We want your phone calls. We now bring in Ryan in Sacktown. Ryan, I gave you my thoughts. Now it's your turn, buddy.
Put me on the spot. Yeah, it's not like we weren't ready for this in one way or the other. I'm going to disagree with you, and I understand your position, and you could probably get me there if we talk about it long enough, but I'm going to say it's a lateral step, Grant. The NBA got better around the Kings, and you do have to take into account that they ran it back. And so that means you got more film on this team, more ideas about what they're going to do, how they're going to adjust. Now, lots of conversations. Did they adjust enough? Did they have an identity? How many times did that identity change? All that we got plenty of time to talk about. But for me, a lateral step.
Keon Ellis did absolutely nothing in this game. He was invisible. Fox ended up with 35, but I don't like his shot selection. His missed free throws. He was 12 of 29. He was 4 of 16. Keegan Murray offensively didn't do anything in this game. I mean, you can't go on the road when you don't have Malik Monk and Kevin Herter and beat New Orleans, even without Zion Williamson, when you have too many key players doing absolutely nothing. You got only 12 points from your bench. 10 of those were from Mitchell. So you really, again, didn't get anything from your bench other than Mitchell. I like the way Mitchell played in the last 6 weeks of this season. I got to give him a lot of credit. I think he really improved his game, and we'll see what happens with his contract in this offseason. But, you know, with Ellis tonight, it was like playing 4-on-5. I mean, the guy did nothing. And he's not a starter. I keep on saying this. I like him. I think he's got a really nice role on this team, but I don't think he's a starter. That's why they call the position shooting guard. And there were too many games when he doesn't score. And I think he's perfect for coming off the bench and being part of that second unit. I think he's perfect, but I don't think he's a starter. But you know what, Ryan? The last minute of the first quarter is where the Kings lost the momentum of this game.
Yes.
That they never got it back after that, Ryan. They were up by 7, okay? Up by 7. And instead of going up by maybe double digits into the second quarter, they had 3 consecutive turnovers. New Orleans scored 5 straight points, and it was 22-20. And then a couple of minutes later, Ryan, the Kings lost the lead for good, and they never had the lead again the rest of the game.
Yeah, they couldn't really get within 7. And granted, you could take it a step further and say the end of the third quarter and the start of the fourth quarter were a carbon copy of what happened in the first half. And I place that, at least the end of the third, firmly on De'Aaron Fox's shoulders. He had 3 bad plays, either bad decisions or just knucklehead plays. And you can't have that for a starter team when you're trying to make a run, and then that bleeds into the fourth, Grant. Between the end of the third, Grant, get this, and into the fourth, the Kings were 1 for 18 from the field.
Yep. That sequence you're talking about at the end of the third, there was one play where he was on the top of the screen, if you're watching on TV, that sideline, and tries to make a cross-court pass to the near corner that is picked off. And the Kings at that point, with a possession, could have moved to either 5 or 4. New Orleans gets the ball, score, and then it's a 9-point game going into the fourth. Critical mistake by De'Aaron Fox in that situation in the third quarter. And you're right. The end of the third, beginning of the fourth was awful. Terrible.
Well, Grant, I think the other two mistakes I was talking about were just as worse. He takes a really quick three, ill-advised three before that. And then on that last defensive possession in the third, he tries to get a call. And he doesn't get the call, and he just kind of backs off. And so, I mean, the game changed in the second quarter when Keon Ellis was shoved. That was the moment the game changed, in my opinion. It was almost like we're keeping it at arm's length, and then the whistle, Grant, changed a little bit after that.
You're talking about right underneath the basket, correct?
Right under the basket.
Yes, right. Yeah, they missed that call. There's no question about it. I also think that a critical, what could have been a critical call in this game was the challenge when Sabonis was fouled by Valanciunas on the leg. Remember that?
Yes.
Sabonis was in the lane for 6 seconds. They didn't call it before any contact. He was parked in the lane, didn't leave the lane, and was in the lane for 6 seconds, and they didn't call that. And I thought that was a critical call because it gave Valanciunas another foul, and Sabonis made the free throws, but the Kings couldn't really seize that momentum. They just couldn't. You know what, Ryan? They had several opportunities in this game, even when they were down by double digits. They got a possession, they got a three. Now all they need is another three, and it's a 4-point game, and they just couldn't do it.
Napes, they panicked. How many times have we sat here on a post-game show when it came down to the money time, the clutch time, the Kings panic?
I'll tell you, Ryan, the New Orleans Pelicans, think about this. 6 times, 6, they beat the Sacramento Kings, and they weren't healthy, okay, for any of the games. They were without key players. First 2 games, no McCollum, right? No Zion for a game where they won by 30. No Brandon Ingram for the last game, correct? Yep. Tonight, no Zion Williamson. It did not matter. They beat the Kings with whatever lineup they put out on the floor.
And if we're going to be fair, they outcoached the Kings, I would say, in all 6 matchups as well. They were just in the right places. Grant, they present an interesting issue for the Kings because they can approach the game plan a couple ways. And you saw Mike Brown didn't really double Valanciunas, but him and Sabonis know each other so well. They played so much basketball together. You know how it is. If you're playing golf with a buddy, Grant, you know them in and out usually.
Yes.
And it's just little things like that. Grant, I'll kick this to you. You can't focus your offseason. I mean, certainly it's going to be a talking point. But if you're the front office, you're not targeting the Pelicans to change your team. We've got to get over the Pelicans, but you've got to put some consideration into that.
You do. Let's take some phone calls because you bring up a great question, and I want to get to all of this. But I really would love to get to some calls to get some reaction on tonight's game. And then why don't we spend like the last 10 or 15 minutes of the show tonight talking about that and talking about what we think is needed. And then I'll tell you what else. Okay, we're getting ready for the weekend. Why don't we come back and do a show on Monday and Tuesday? Why don't we do some shows right here where we really zero in and talk about and get some phone calls and talk about what the fans want to see for next year. Yeah. Because now next year starts. It's starting right now. Next year starts right now. Mm-hmm. And but before we get to that, I really want to get to some phone calls about tonight's game and why is it that in 6 games the Kings really weren't competitive at all against the Pelicans? They really weren't. I mean, it's just unbelievable to me.
It feels like even though you kind of had the same storylines, that was like the same or different issues that were happening. Yeah, let's bring in Michael. Hi. Michael, welcome into If You Don't Like That.
Hi. Tough loss. Hi, so I have to give Pelicans some credit though. I mean, we just simply got outcoached. I think Willie Green's done a hell of a job. How he pulled out against the Kings. I think there were one game that Kings were actually close. I think that was the second game. If you forgot to point that out, I think.
And it was fairly close. That was the second game in New Orleans without CJ.
I remember that. Yeah. I think the reason how Pelicans were able to execute well against us, they do little things. I saw how they, come out with energy. They hustle every possession when it matters most.
Yes.
I've seen that. I know the Kings couldn't knock down the threes, but I think part of it has to do with height advantage. I think that's probably what it is. It disrupts the rhythm of the Kings. I
And
have to give credit.
You know what else? When you watch this game, if you didn't know anything about the team's records or anything, you would just say, wow, that team that was in the home team tonight
Yes.
in the red jerseys are more athletic than the Kings. They just look like they're better athletes all over the place.
I think so. Yeah. I don't know that. It would be nice though if we won that game, but there's always next year, right? I mean, we just got to be better. I think I noticed that Valanciunas is free agent, right, for this year. I think.
I'd have to go
I'm
check
not sure.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. It's great to know. I mean, this season is pretty much about average for me in my thoughts. It's no ups, no downs, but this year it's Kings has been up through but bunch of ups and downs. But I hope Kings can learn from this adversary. Get better next year and see what happens.
There you go. Hey, Michael, hopefully you've been calling all year. Hopefully you can join us on Monday and the rest of the week as we continue to break it down and get your guys' opinions.
Yep. Tough loss, but better. Take care, guys.
Take care, Michael.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Listen, it's disappointing. It really is. Hey, before we go on, the sponsors of this show, I just have to thank New Works Plumbing. They've been there from day one. They've got a fix for you for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. And remember, they're available 24/7 for all of your plumbing needs and repairs. Again, that's sackserviceplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you, but they don't have any fix for the Sacramento Kings because their season is over.
Are you guys taking a breath of relief? It's done now. Or are you chomping at the bit for the next one? Let us know. We bring in our man Condog. Oh, hands over the over the head. Welcome.
No hands up. Can't give a hands up for losing to the same team 6 times.
No, you cannot, my friend.
No.
Yeah. The Pelicans just been a matchup nightmare. Without Ingram, even without Zion in some games. Honestly, I feel like those two play amazing when the other is not on the court. When if either Zion's out or Ingram's out, the other guy just is playing amazing ball.
Condog, the one thing that I noticed, because I rewatched all the games, the Pelicans spread teams out. And if you spread the Kings out, that means you're doing one-on-one stuff. And that's where the Kings struggle. That's why their defensive rating was so low early in the season. When they started playing team defense, Condog, that's when things started to change.
They had 29 assists for New Orleans tonight. They did get sloppy with the ball. They had 15 turnovers, but they moved the ball. That's the one thing this team does. The Pelicans, they just move the ball so very well. And here's something else they continue to do in the second half, guys. They continued to break down the Sacramento defense off the dribble, and it just completely led to easy baskets.
Yeah, I mean, they got great length to create those opportunities like that. Big guys out there, Ingram's just long as can be. Valanciunas, he's a big 7'2" guy.
Yeah.
He can find those Herb Joneses, those CJ McCollums open.
Yeah.
And and I think the Thunder are actually going to have a tough time with this team.
Listen, I don't think it's going to be a 4-game sweep. I think New Orleans will win some games, but I just do not see the Pelicans having an answer for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I just don't see how that's going to work.
I got Thunder in 6, but again, a 6-game series is tough.
Yeah, you're right. Yep.
I'll tell you this. Right. I think the Thunder win, but I'm looking forward to watching Herb Jones and SGA. That's going to be a hell of a matchup. Or not Herb, what? And Trey Murphy.
I mean, Herb Jones is a hell of a defender. I'll give you credit on that. Jerry compared him to Tony Allen in his prime. I don't know. First of all, I haven't seen enough of Herb Jones to, say I agree with Jerry or I don't agree. I mean, Tony Allen is somebody that always stuck out in my mind, both with Boston and with Memphis. I'd have to see more of Jones, but he is really good. He is a tenacious defender. Can we use that word, tenacious?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, and to answer Michael's question, yes, this Valanciunas is last year on the contract. He's a cap hold for next year.
Yeah, I don't see the Pelicans letting him go, but we'll see. You know what? There are all kinds of possibilities. I'd love to have him on the Kings.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Get some, big guy in there that can actually stay on the court. Because Len and McGee, they're fine to give Sabonis rest in the regular season, but when it came playoff time or play-in time, they were worthless.
Yeah, these guys don't come for free. The bigs that can spread the floor, they only come around once in a while. But
yeah,
hey,
Condog, a lot of money. All right, well,
hey, Condog, we appreciate you, man. It's been so nice having you on for all these games. Thank you very much. And
absolutely,
we're going to be doing more content, so don't go anywhere. We're going to be coming at you with a lot of shows here, even though the season's over. So thank you.
Later.
Thank you, brother.
Right. That's 2 shows in a row. I called him Condog. So
I know.
You got to give me credit. It took me an entire season. Okay. It took me an entire season to call him Condog. Now, the one name I never mispronounce is Bennett's, because they are awesome. Sacramento, Roseville, the West Side Grill in Rockland, prime seafood and steaks at Bennett's. Don't forget about the weekend brunch tomorrow and Sunday. It is awesome. They also have the prime rib on the weekends. Just go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com, make a reservation, check out everything. Don't forget about their various wines. They have 60 types of wines available by the glass. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com. I could use Bennett's right now. I could use the wine and a nice steak. I'll tell you that, to get the taste out of my mouth of watching this tonight.
Yeah, not the 60 different glasses. You just want 60 glasses. Give them to me.
Yeah.
Hey,
and a designated driver if that were going to happen.
Absolutely.
So I just want. I would love a nice glass of cab with my New York Prime, and then I'd be happy as all heck. That's what would be perfect right now.
You know what?
Go ahead. What's up, buddy?
Hey, you do that. I'm gonna go do brunch. 2 entrees, bottle of champagne, $44. Dash, I got my notes ready. What's up, man? How you doing tonight?
Oh man, tough night. I think it's failure at every level, especially when you lose to a team 6 times in a row. I'll leave the front office conversation to a later time. As Grant saying, we'll be having those discussions, but I think it starts at the coaching staff. I don't see change up in lineups. I don't see any change up how we play against a team that we've lost 5 times. And you know what? We're just too predictable. They know what the lineups are. They know there's no experimentation. And I don't know if that's a lack of talent, if that's a lack of coaching, offense. And if Mike Brown's a defensive specialist, we haven't improved the defense, guys, the last couple of years, right? What was our Achilles last year? Defense. We had the best offense in the history of this league, and we're one of the worst defenses, if not the worst, this year, right? So if he's a defensive specialist, why haven't we improved? Is it a lack of talent?
No, Dash, you got to have the player. You got to remember, this team was not supposed to be an offensive team. That's the thing. That was a surprise to a lot of people. And so Mike hasn't had the exact tools that he used to have to run his exact system. And I think towards the end of the season, Grant, Dash, tell me if you're wrong, I thought they did a good job.
This team, to me, and not that it takes a brain surgeon to make this comment, they were never the same team the moment they lost Malik Monk. They just weren't. The bench went from being, pretty good to pretty bad, and they never could find the offense on a consistent basis without Monk. Ryan has pointed this out and right on point so often. The pick and roll that he plays with Sabonis, they didn't only miss Monk's 3-point shooting. They missed his passing. They missed a 2-man game with DeMontis. They missed a lot with Malik Monk. And maybe, I think we knew that Monk was very valuable to this team, but maybe in retrospect, maybe he is as valuable as anybody on the team.
I 100% agree. I've said it multiple times on this show, time and time again. The only player that usually ends those runs that other teams go on was Malik Monk. He's the aggressor. Fox. So now the next level of like accountability, right?
Yep.
Fox. Last year, when I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but when he used to take the ball, he would look for the mid-range jumper, and I just felt like he's gonna make it. This year, I never got that feeling. Post, the first couple of months, and the difference tonight was they had a scorer who was making every big shot, and we played some great defense. But Ingram, when he got the ball in his hand, he got in the
he was
mid range.
good.
They had a player who could score every single time when they needed it, whether to stop a run, whether to keep the lead far enough. And we just didn't have that. And Fox was that guy last year, but this
Yep.
year I don't know if it was the workouts with Curry in the summer, signing his brand. He's looking for the 3-point first shooter first, and he's not a 3-point first shooter player.
It's a great point. I want to talk about Brandon Ingram for a minute. I didn't see any rust in him tonight. I saw some conditioning on him breathing very hard, but his play, he looked like the same Brandon Ingram that's killed the Kings whenever he's been on the floor. He'll get back into shape, but I thought he was really good tonight. He was, to me, he and Valanciunas, but Brandon Ingram, you make a great point, Dash. Ryan, he's right. Whenever the Pelicans needed that big basket to stop a run or whatever, Brandon Ingram either got to the line or he made a basket. And here's the other deal. The Kings were defending him pretty well. He made some incredibly tough shots.
Amen. I was just going to say that, Napes. That the one that I think of was out of the timeout when the Kings, they were down 7 or 8 and 1. That's when you knew. But that's what Brandon Ingram brings you. He's matured very well. Hopefully he can stay on the court.
And the last thing, I do agree with the caller earlier, though, just speaking on the Pelicans a little bit, Brandon Ingram does play better without Zion. I don't know if it's just like they don't feel as forced to like run the offense through Zion, and they become a little bit more free on offensively, but tremendous player, tremendous game tonight by him. Unfortunate for us, and we'll talk about the front office and what they have done at a different time.
Dash, appreciate you. Thank you. You bring some really good insight to the show, and we greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Good stuff. He's good, man. I like what he brings to the program. He's really on. We talk about what we thought had to happen in this game. When we did the show, I believe it was last night. And then we did the show 2 nights ago also, but we did a couple of different shows with Jerry on Wednesday, and then we did the show last night as well, the preview show. And the three of us did not think that we would see the Brandon Ingram that we think of when he's healthy. And again, I don't know if you agree or disagree, but other than his conditioning, he looked like he had his A game tonight.
Yeah, and all credit to Coach Green for getting those guys ready. He changed their entire routine for the 3 days coming into this because they've been so poor at home. And I think, Grant, the Pelicans, and this is where we talk about the differing styles. You brought it up with Malik and Sabonis. The Pelicans can play some ISO ball with you, with Brandon Ingram, really good at that when Brandon's on. But then also the bully ball that we talked about coming into the game with Zion. And I think that's what the separator is with those two, why they're really good when they're off the court at separate times.
I also want to make a point about TNT, because I think they do a marvelous job with their game announcers. And I think that the job tonight that Ian Eagle and Grant Hill did was superb. And when you see professional announcers and what they bring to the game, it makes the game, to me, so much more enjoyable. I thought they were outstanding tonight. I really do. And listen, Ian's a good friend of mine, so I'm disclosing that. But so is Kevin Harlan, and so is Mike Breen of ABC, and all these guys are. But Ian is, Ian's a good friend of mine. But still, I thought they did a great job tonight.
They did an awesome job. And what I love about Ian Eagle and a lot of the TNT games, they're not just looking at the box score. They're giving you stats beyond that. And Ian is awesome at that. And then they have fun too. So that is all well and good. Hey, real quick, before we see the other calls, Josh and everybody else, we're going to get to you in a second. But first, I wanted to tell you about Envision Web Design. That's right. Do you have a website? Do you own a business? Is tech not your thing? It's not ours, right, Grant?
Oh, boy. No, it isn't.
Oh, no, it's not. Well, give Max and the guys at Envision a call. Max has been a huge help to us. He has worked on the website and updated and personalized and made things easier for us and easier for you to access. Basically, if you want your website to be more functional and work better, Max and the team will tailor the experience to you and get you up and running and save that time for you. So go check them out at envisiondesigns.com. Huge thanks to Envision Web Designs, and huge thanks to them. They helped set up the auctions, Grant.
Yeah. So if you go to my website, okay, if you don't like that.com,
I got you.
You can check it all out. All right. And all you got to do is go to the menu and click on auction. I know we had a little bit of an issue the other night. We apologize for that. That was 24 hours ago. Everything is good. So it's pretty easy to locate. And if you go to ifyoudon'tlikethat.com, click on the menu, and then you will be able to find out everything that you need. All right. See that little, there you go. And then auction. Nice job there, Ryan.
Yeah.
And then I have a little intro. Wow, I got the same shirt on. Don't worry, it's clean.
Snapes.
Yeah. You know, I gotta wear a short sleeve when I'm in Miami. I gotta be, if I'm near the pool, I can't have a long sleeve shirt on, you know?
Of course not. Absolutely not. And then Grant, all they got to do, watch the video. It's a nice little message. Hit the link, and guess what? There you are. You are right here at the auction. You've got the original Jerry Reynolds Show shirts. One's autographed by Wayman Tisdale and Jerry. The other Jerry and Larry Bird. Are you kidding me?
I know.
And then also you've got Jerry on his own. But Grant, it's not just the shirts. You get some pretty cool experiences. What can people do with you if they win the auction for the Larry Bird shirt?
Yeah, they're going to be able to have a digital content with me. You know, we'll do it right here, YouTube, whatever. You'll help me out, or Max will help me out from a technical aspect where we can do a private session, you know, via the technology that we have. So I am looking forward to that. I really am. And I know that you've got golf and there's a meal at Bennett's. There's all kinds of things. I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a Valley High, like Grant said. We also have a courtside experience at the Stockton Kings with myself. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me hear it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, and those shirts are going to be beautifully framed for you didn't want us throwing them in the washing machine. Those got some pretty good autographs. So we're going to get that all taken care of. Yeah.
Speaking of Larry Bird, the same year that he signed that shirt, let me see if you can see this. This is me and Larry at the Boston. Nice. It's kind of hard to see. That's me and Larry Bird, kind of hard with at the Boston Garden. It's not going to work that well, but that's me and Larry at the Boston Garden. And I was 28, and who knows how Larry was young too. But I'll put that up on the web. I'll put that up on social media. But yeah, Larry Bird, one of the greats of all time. Get that shirt. And thank you so much for checking out the page. Again, if you don't like that.com, all right, there it is. And you can be in the auction. It goes for a week. And thank you for your support. It means the world to us.
We love the support. And, you know, we don't ask for super chats. We don't ask you to tag us with them to get your comments read. We do this for you guys, but, you know, there is a cost to operation. And from time to time, we got to upgrade equipment programs. And Grant, look what we did this year. Calls, right? We've now got sound drops. So we want to take the next step, keep getting our guests, have Jerry Reynolds again next year. So that's why we're asking for it. And even if you can't help out, like Grant said, thank you guys so much for the support. It's such an honor.
And thank you, Max, for all your help on the website. All right, let's get to some more phone calls. What do you say?
Heck yeah. Let's do it. Let's bring Jason in, or excuse me, Josh. Josh, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine. How are you
We're
guys?
hanging in there, buddy.
Oh, yeah. Gotta tip your hat off to the New Orleans Pelicans. They were just playing really well. And I'm not afraid to say it. They are a better team than us. We had no chance against them. They had all the stuff that we can't match up against. One thing that I've actually noticed during the game, and I'm not sure if you guys noticed too, but every time that the Kings were able to try to get a paint or a points in the paint, they were getting blocked by people like Larry Nance Jr. I'm not sure if the shooting consistencies was the only thing that was a problem. But I feel like not only that, there was also like a height issue, and I'm starting to see that now as we kept playing the Pelicans. That every time we just get like a close shot, we just keep getting blocked. They're just taller than us.
The Kings had a real problem this year in matching up against the Pelicans. They had a real problem matching up against the Rockets, although in all fairness, the 2 games in Houston were without De'Aaron, but they beat them in Sacramento when the Kings were healthy. So, you think about that, not counting tonight's game, that's 0-8, okay? 0-8 against 2 teams that aren't in your division.
And you're 4-0
and the Pelicans.
And you're 4-0 against the Lakers. And granted, it's not necessarily great to have those huge swings like that.
No. Very disappointing. I get the disappointment in the fans. I get it. I understand. Josh, you're right on, man.
Yep.
You're right on. The length of the Pelicans has been an issue, and I think their athleticism. They're just more athletic than the Kings.
They're more athletic. I think they're faster.
Exactly.
They're faster than the Kings.
Oh yeah, no question.
No question. Yeah.
And they're the whatchamacallit, they're just a favorable matchup against us. Like you said before, we're just no match against them. We could beat other teams, but we just can't beat the Pelicans. They're basically our kryptonite at this point.
They are indeed. Well, good news, Josh. We don't have to see him again for like another 4 or 5 months. Hey, Josh.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for the call today. We really appreciate it. Join us next week for our Kings debriefs. Love to have you.
No problem. I wish good luck to the Kings for next season. That's all I could say.
Yeah, we're going to need a debrief. There's no doubt about that. A couple of debriefs. I mean, you're not in the playoff. You didn't make the playoffs this year. And I've been cautioning. Listen, I'm not patting myself on the back. I've been talking about this probably for 2 months. We get calls, the Kings don't want to play this team in the playoffs. They want to play that team. And I kept on saying, you got to make the playoffs first. Okay. I said this back in February. I'm like, well, you got to make the playoffs first. Okay. We all saw this possible scenario before the 4-game road trip that started in New York. We kind of thought, okay, you know what? If the Kings don't win at least 2 games on this trip, they're going to be either a 7, 8, 9, or 10 seed, which means they're not in the playoffs. They're going to have to win in the play-in to make the playoffs. And they didn't do that. So now, after a 7-game playoff series last year, not to mention the revenue that the Kings are missing from not having playoff home games, that's millions of dollars. Do not, from the business side, this also is terrible for Sacramento. It's terrible for Doco. It's terrible for the Sawyer Hotel. It's terrible for the bars and the restaurants and the Uber drivers. I mean, it's terrible for all of that. You cannot just underestimate that. The revenue that you make in the postseason is gravy, and it's big time gravy, and it's all gone now.
Hey, Grant, it's a good point, and probably their expectations were not just one round. I mean, when they're thinking of revenue, they're probably thinking there's going to be a couple games. We see you, Sean, still there. Jason, we see you as well. Oh, yeah, Jason, you are next. My apologies. Thanks for waiting. Welcome on.
All right.
Hold on. Hey, Jason, if you can hear us, can you turn down that background sound? I'm sure Nate was going to say something. Yeah, we'll come right back to you. Sean, how you doing tonight, Sean?
I'm doing good, guys. I don't want to get too deep into debriefs on the season, but just the whole way that the play-in worked out for us, and you think back to a couple weeks ago with the road trip, a couple months ago, you have 2 or 3 stupid losses, and that's the difference between a 6 seed and a 9 seed or a 10 seed. So, when you have those games in the moment in February, March, you don't really care because it's just one game. But at the end of the season, it adds up. More focusing on this game.
Charlotte, we can go on.
Charlotte,
we could go for days.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why there's so much importance to the regular season and getting up for every game. But for Fox, this is the most disappointing 35-point game I think I've seen. It was a lot of hero ball. I felt like he didn't really trust the units that he was out there with. I think he knew that Ellis wasn't doing jack shit. And he knew that, Sabonis was the only one that he could really go to. Telegraph passes. Do you think it was a poor game from Fox?
I thought his first half was very, very good, and I thought his second half was very, very bad.
Yeah. Again, not getting too much into debriefs. Do you think Mike Brown's on the hot seat?
No. Grant?
No.
I'll tell you this. I've been talking about this for months. You have a very meddling owner who thinks that he knows everything about the game, more so than the people that he hires. He thinks he knows more than the coach. He thinks he knows more than the general manager. And when he is the owner, which he is, never say never. Okay?
Right.
That's all I'm going to say. Do I think he's on the hot seat? I agree with Ryan. No, I don't. Do I think he should be on the hot seat? No, I don't. I think it would be a terrible move to fire Mike Brown right now.
Right.
The only, and Ryan's been talking about this for months, so I'll let him carry the bulk of this. If there's an issue between Fox and Brown, which is holding Fox back, then you might see a coaching change. Ryan?
Yeah, definitely.
Well,
go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, I think that's a more that's a bigger discussion. I'm not ready to say that's a coaching change and not a personnel change quite yet.
Yeah, but I do want to piggyback off of what Grant said about the owner. I remember when he first came in, way blast of the past. He was almost talking about implementing a cherry picking system that his daughter's basketball team ran in the NBA. He seriously talked about it. So yeah, I definitely
that was
agree
a little
with you,
overblown. I'm just going to say this, okay? There are a lot of things that I could say that I don't feel is appropriate for me to say.
Okay.
Because it's almost like attorney-client privilege in a way to make that analogy, okay?
I understand.
I also have a lawsuit that's ongoing.
Right.
And unfortunately, Bonneville International brought the Kings into the lawsuit. I say unfortunately because I resigned from the Kings, but they were brought into the lawsuit. And until my lawsuit is completed to conclusion, in other words, once it's done, I'm gonna reserve some of my comments. I'm just gonna say this, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn. I don't think I'm really saying anything that you don't know or our viewers don't know. He is an owner, which, by the way, is not atypical. A lot of the owners that buy teams think that they're experts, and they think that they can run their team the same way they ran their $1 million to $1 billion business. You can't do it that way. Okay, you can't run your company on the peninsula the same way you're going to want to run the Sacramento Kings. It doesn't work like that. And unfortunately, Vivek Ranadive believes that you can run an entire basketball operation on a laptop and that all analytics and all the numbers will determine your success or lack thereof. And that's just not true. And we know that's not true. So do I think Mike Brown's on the hot seat? No. Do I think he should be on the hot seat? No. But I'm just saying you have an owner that is not afraid, or afraid's not the right word. He's not immune to knee-jerk reactions, because I've seen it time and time and time and time and time and time again. So don't say never. It could happen, but I think it would be a huge mistake.
I agree. And kind of to piggyback on that, with kind of like hands-on owners, the Knicks were a laughingstock when James Dolan was, meddling in the basketball operations. He finally took his hands off, let the basketball people do their thing, and now they're the second seed in the East. Yeah. So they're successful in, Silicon Valley, but the NBA is not Silicon Valley. I guess my last thing, I know you don't really like JaVale McGee. Could he have done anything in this game? Because they had a layup line in the third quarter.
No. He would have got trucked, in my opinion. You saw.
No, he would have gotten destroyed.
Yeah, you saw what Valanciunas was doing to Sabonis. Len, no chance.
All right. Well, thank you for taking my call. You guys have a good one.
Our pleasure. Thank you so much. Good questions there. Really.
Let's see if Jason's pulled over yet. Jason, I'm getting to you right now. Are you good? You good to go on the program? Jason. All right, he's had his chances. Jason, you're done for the night. Okay.
You got two
Unless
Jasons.
did I go to the wrong Jason?
There's two Jasons. Hey.
Oh, my bad, Jason.
Nope.
Maybe I'm the one that needs to be done for the night. Is this
Backing
the right
up on the
Jason?
Jasons. That sounds like one.
Hello,
Jason. Hey, go ahead, buddy. I'm sorry, I got the wrong Jason. Hey, thanks for your patience. Thanks for pulling over on the side of the road. What can we do for you? Is he not there anymore?
Did you just run Jason?
No, I didn't run him. Bring him back on.
No, he dropped off. No. I'll let you run him. Yeah, I got the image.
I didn't run Jason. I didn't hit the off button.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time. He dropped off. It was a connection thing.
Okay.
The line is cleared. We'll try this, Jason, one more time. Jason, hopefully not the one.
I am here.
All right. There we go.
Go ahead, buddy.
So many things. Like the Kings season to me is like we're from the peanuts. We're kicking the football and Lucy just keeps on yanking away from us. That's how I feel like as a Kings fan, to be honest with you. And then thanks for the insight on about the ownership and stuff. I appreciate that, and hopefully I'm still praying for your lawsuit, Grant.
Thank you.
I'm to be honest with you, I'm done with the Kings. After what they did to you, that was my last straw for me as a Kings fan. But I'm here on the show, and I wanted to say thank you and congratulations on doing such a good job. Many people would have quit or just gone away, but you're such a fighter, and all the fans listening, and I'm sure a lot of people that aren't listening right now are going to be very grateful. And Ryan, you're such a great addition. We appreciate you. It's such night and day from what your last partner was. That was just, I know you're not going to comment, but it's very evident, with your attitude and your positivity that you guys are both bringing together. I'm actually not surprised whatsoever that the Kings lost and didn't make the playoffs. I just think I'm not really sure what their destination was. They keep on going after more defense, but whenever you're doing anything in life, and you have to look at the cards you're dealt with. And quite honestly, the Kings, after having that record-setting offense, why is he pushing for more defense? Why not just recognize the gifts that you've been given and the talent that you have and how it fits and work with that? Hey,
Jason, I'm going to answer the question. I think that his philosophy changed in the middle of the season when he lost Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk, two of his best, if not the best, three-point shooters. And at that point, he realized that he was not going to be able to outscore teams with Keon Ellis, and that you had to go to a different style. And, it really wasn't that bad. It's not like it, but you as a coach is like a chef. You only are able to cook with the groceries that you have, right? And Mike Brown lost two deep three-point shooters, particularly Monk, who was probably the sixth man of the year. And it necessitates a change in philosophy, or maybe not even philosophy, but in terms of personnel. And you have to coach to your personnel. And Keon Ellis is more of a defensive player than an offensive player. Davion Mitchell, I thought his offense came on with expanded playing time in the last 4 to 6 weeks. But let's face it, Jason, when you don't have that three-point shooting in a league that is, you must have good three-point shooting to win. Look at the Kings' three-point shooting tonight. It was terrible, and they lost. So I think that's really part of the reason, Jason.
Well, Jay,
I totally agree with you. And I'm sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm talking more or less the whole season. Even last year, he kept on pressing defense. Well, his personnel is not defense. And you're right, he did make an adjustment. And the last, month or so, they looked like the intensity, even though Keon didn't have a great game tonight. I'm super glad and surprised to see Keon and Davion play way better. I mean, I thought they did a great job. Obviously, you could tell Keon was he was still a little awestruck at the moment. But it seems to me that like the team, there was not the direction. And I think a lot of this underlying what we don't know about with De'Aaron Fox, I think that's playing a big issue. When when having kids, and both you guys have kids, and I'm a father too.
Yep.
That having your first child there's a lot of stuff. When your woman is postpartum depression possibly. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, and it does take your toll. So I don't know if it was a personal thing. I don't know if it was a personnel thing. Who knows? But I will say this: even though Fox has taken a lot more threes, I really did like his intensity. Like when there was some pushing going on, I've been missing that with him. To me, like for him to just get down and dirty, hey, let's do it. I appreciated that in his game tonight. He did have 35 points, but yeah, way too many threes. And the only person that made his threes was Davion. It didn't seem to me they got outcoached. Hugely outcoached. I mean, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing, expecting different results. It didn't seem like they ran any set plays like what they did in the play-in game against the Warriors.
Yeah,
I just
Jason, let me cut you off there because I wanted to interject this, and you've gone exactly where I was going. I'm not going to let Mike Brown off the hook that easy with the style change because of injuries, because Grant's right. But he came out just like a week ago and said that this year he's called barely any set plays. He's just let the guys do it. And last year he was calling almost every play. And when what you just said, kind of a lack of direction and some confusion, guys not being, included in the offense, that alone could cause an internal problem with your team right there.
Well, hey, Jason, thank you very much for the call.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your support. It's greatly appreciated, and you have a great weekend.
You bet. You guys as well. Looking forward to Monday, and I think that's a great idea, by the way. I really love that idea.
Yeah, we'll be on Monday.
You.
Thank you.
Jason, thanks for the kind
Why don't we
words.
pick a time right now? You want to do 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock? What works best for you on Monday evening?
Hey, either one. You want to do 8? Is that better for you?
Yeah, 8. Yeah, and by the way, we have right now almost 13,000 people watching this show after a loss, and props to you. Thank you very much. And if you're new to the show, if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe. That way you'll know whenever the content is going to be available. And give us a thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. So awesome. There it is right there for exclusive content and rants. And you've got everything that you need right there. But almost 13,000 people watching the stream right now. You're the best. You fans are the best. And that number would have probably been close to 30 if the Kings had won, like Baki and others. Baki's watching, but a lot of people they're so upset they don't even want to hear it. They don't want to talk about it, and I get that. I've been there before. But for those of you that are with us, thank you. It's greatly appreciated. And I can't thank you enough.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for making the channel what it is. And if you haven't already, and you guys have been great, give my podcast a try. It's a daily Kings podcast, Kings Insider. It's free. If you're wondering who I am, what I'm about, listen to the deposition of Ryan in Sacktown. I'll give you a little bit more insight on me and why I'm sitting up here with Napes and talking to you about the Kings. But yes, what Grant said, 13,000, amazing. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. I got something for you here, Ryno. All right. We talk about Gold Country Veterinary Hospital, right? Okay. Yes. So in the last few days, 5 ACL repairs, diagnosed a German Shepherd with a spleen fungal infection, treated a puppy for parvovirus with a new antibiotic therapy, removed an eye from a cat due to trauma, repaired wounds to a guardian livestock dog from a mountain lion. Those are just some of the things. So I keep on saying this. When your pet needs urgent care, Gold Country Veterinary Hospital will be available. They are full service. They do it all from dentistry to the procedures that I just talked about, and just keep them in mind at all times. Again, when your pet needs urgent care, they're available. Gold Country Veterinary Hospital.
Were those dogs running on a MetLife field? ACL? Oh, no, my bad. That's Achilles.
Holy moly, Jim Bowley.
Oh my God.
It's crazy though. 5 dog ACLs. Is there 5 dog ACL tears in America in a year?
You know what? They must have been playing a pickup game of football in the backyard or rugby or something. And
yeah, I guess so.
Maybe they were playing on artificial turf instead of grass, and it wasn't real good. You know what I'm saying?
They had an accident on the turf before the game, so it was a little bit slippery.
Hey, I mean, incredible. Really is unbelievable. I should ask Dr. Griffiths, what is the rehab time for a dog with an ACL, and how quickly can they get back on the court? Okay.
Yes.
Or the field.
Absolutely. You know what, Grant? Next season, if Gold Country is still here, I think we need to have like a weekly live hit, and we've got to have Dr. Griffiths give us the update from Gold Country. We've got to do it.
I love it. It is phenomenal. What was not phenomenal was the game tonight. 105-98, 0-6 this year against the Sacramento Kings. Now we're over 13,000 people on the stream. Thank you very much. But
thank you.
The Kings didn't score 100 points tonight in the biggest game of the year, Ryan. Think about that for a minute.
No, they only scored or averaged 102, just a little bit above that against New Orleans on the road. So it was tough going. Grant, again, you can't give enough credit to Coach Green. And I get the Kings beat the Kings tonight, but they had a great game plan. They said, Fox, Sabonis, beat us.
I do not hate the Kings owner, and that's completely not true. Okay. That is not true. I do not hate the Kings owner. Okay. I'm just telling you that he is somebody that thinks he knows a lot more than he does about basketball. And I'll leave it at that. Okay.
Well, Napes, he's going to be put to the test this offseason because you've got a point guard. Let's assume, and we're not going to go far into this, but we've talked about it already.
Yeah.
Let's say there is an issue between Fox and Mike Brown. De'Aaron Fox has been here for 7 years.
Yes.
Been to the playoffs twice. Mike Brown has been here for 2 years.
Been to the playoffs.
Once. Excuse me. Thank you. I made the mistake of thinking the play-in was the playoffs. So they've been to the playoffs once, okay? That's more than – I'm going with Mike Brown is what I'm saying. Like, there's been a clear culture change here, Grant. It would be a very stupid decision.
I agree. Totally agree. And I don't think it's going to happen. 105-98. All right, so let's spend some time and talk a little bit about the future. And we'll do a lot more of this on Monday at 8 o'clock. I'm going to tell you how I feel, and then you go. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Sure.
I've been saying this all year, and I'm going to continue to say it. I do not think that the current roster is good enough to win the West. Okay? I think that there are several teams that are clearly better than Sacramento and also have a better future right now than Sacramento based on the current roster. So, with that said, there has to be some moves made in the offseason. There has to. This team is not going to come back next year without any moves and be any different. They're just not.
Yeah, and forgive me, I forget off the top of my head the draft situation. I know tonight's loss matters because
they keep their pick now. They keep their pick, and then next year the pick goes to the Hawks, but it's top 12 protected.
Okay, thank you for helping me out there and picking us up. I think it's got to start there. Monty McNair has done really well drafting, but Grant, outside of drafting, because that's what you have to do, the first thing you have to decide is what is the identity of this basketball team. There's no more, we're going to figure it out. We're going to be offensive here. We're going to be defensive there, because what we've seen over the past 2 years is having the personnel that could maybe do a little bit of both isn't working out. So you've got to figure out what that is, and you got to have guys that want to play that style, and you've got to define roles, Grant. If I asked you, we can define Demonis's role. We can define Monk's role. We can define Sabonis's role. Maybe even now Keon, right? Maybe. What's everybody else's role on this team?
I think I'm going to start with Keegan Murray. He has to make a sizable jump the way he made from 1 year to 2 years. Here's my issue with Keegan Murray. He's too inconsistent for me offensively. And that, to me, and again, I understand he just completed his second year. His bad offensive games are concerning to me, such as tonight. He had a bad offensive game. He was 4 of 12. He was 2 of 7 from 3. That's a bad offensive game. There are too many games to me that are subpar. Jerry had a good point, and you have talked about this as well. He brings his glove to the field every day, meaning that he does a lot of other things for this team. And I think the defense really starts with him. I was so impressed. I was so impressed with how he defended this year. And I think that does take away from his offense somewhat. But now that he has 2 years of experience under his belt, I think he needs to figure out how he can do both, because this Kings team needs a productive offensive Keegan Murray if they are going to make it back to where they were last year.
I agree. Games like tonight, Grant, where he gets the shots, he's got to get better looks, or he's got to knock them down, as you said. But at the same time, I've got to grade Keegan on a curve or on a scale, because there's games it's hard to hold him accountable if he's not getting looks. Like if you're getting 2 or 3 looks a game and you're only making 1, I'm not always holding that on Keegan. That means there's something wrong with the Kings offense. It's really hard to ask a guy, say, hey, we just need you to play some defense tonight, but hey, with this matchup tonight, I need you to go score 30. It's just what's it going to be?
I love the kid's work ethic. I love his professionalism. There's really nothing I don't like about Keegan Murray. He's got all the tools in the toolbox, but I need to see a more consistent offensive player going into his 3rd year. I just do.
But I would tell you, and I agree, if he's going to be the player, hit that ceiling that a lot of people think that he can. But how do I put this? I think Keegan's jump this year was bigger than De'Aaron's jump from year 1 to year 2. And I have no reason to believe that Keegan can't continue to make another jump. But the young man needs direction other than making more shots. Great, but he needs to know where he's going to get the ball. Where are Keegan's spots besides the corner 3?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to compare Keegan Murray to De'Aaron Fox for 2 reasons from year 1 to year 2. Keegan Murray is 3 years older at that juncture than De'Aaron Fox. And De'Aaron Fox basically plays quarterback, and Keegan Murray basically plays tight end. Okay. And so there's a big difference there.
But they both play defense.
Yeah. Well, Fox's defense to me is not where it needs to be on a consistent basis for me. And I know that in the NBA, he guards very often the best player on the other team. And you know this, we watch it all the time. The best offensive players in the league are really difficult to guard. They really are. So there's part of that. I just, you know what, Ryan, these are all good topics that we're going to be able to carry over until Monday.
No,
but I wanted to get just give me a quick retort on what I said. This roster, as it is right now, if you bring back Monk and you don't make any other changes, is not going to the Western Conference Finals next year. They're just not.
Oh, not even close. They'll be lucky to make the playoffs.
Okay.
If the West stays this good.
Well, why would the West not stay this good?
It should get better. Yeah.
And look who's coming up in the rearview mirror. Houston and San Antonio.
That's right. That's right. And that's what makes the Kings window so important, because those 2 teams, especially San Antonio, with Wemby, if he continues to grow, they're inevitably going to make some noise.
Oh, boy. Yeah. But I got to tell you, we have really appreciated everyone being on the stream. We thank our sponsors. I also want to talk about Fosters and Paws. They're looking for adopters. They're looking for donors, fosters. They are a group of passionate animal advocates. They work primarily with dogs and shelters. And right now they have puppies available for you. So if you go to fostersandpaws.org/adopt, you can adopt a puppy, but they do great work. They do phenomenal jobs with young people, teaching them the lifelong benefits of having a pet. Go to fostersandpaws.org/adopt. And we'll be coming on Monday at 8:00. And we're going to have a couple of other shows. We're going to be doing shows leading up to the lottery, leading up to the draft. We're going to be doing all of that. All right. So we're not going anywhere. We're going to be giving you Kings content throughout the summer, rolling right into training camp next year. So keep that in mind.
It's funny you said summer, because where I'm planning to be this summer is Las Vegas for Summer League. So we'll be getting content there. We'll be pumping that out. You guys know I'm covering Stockton. So there's going to be a lot more things covered here. And one undercovered story that I want to point out, because there's almost 14,000 of you here, is the development of the players that the Kings have identified in Stockton. And they have really done a good job of getting those guys ready to be ready. And Grant, one thing we can't argue is more times than not, and Sasha was an example of this tonight. He played good defense when guys fall out of the rotation and they finally get another opportunity, Napes. They do pretty well. They're ready for it. They're mentally there.
Yeah, they've done a nice job down there. And I think that's very fair. I mean, I think Lindsay's done a more, well, obviously. I mean, she did a great job. But the development of the players at the G League that's what the league is about. It's about the development of players. That's what the league is for. And the Kings have done a really good job. I got to give them credit. I would just say, for fans that aren't familiar with the G League like you are, it's basically the equivalent of AAA baseball for, a major league team. I mean, and if you have a good farm system, it helps your big team. It helps your parent team. And so what's going on in Stockton? Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen the players come in and make, a big contribution. So you're spot on.
Yeah, Gabriel Harris, their GM, he's done an excellent job in identifying certain talents that went undrafted. But they, like I said, they've focused on making sure it's not about going out and getting 40 or 50, because a lot of these guys could in the G League. It's about getting ready for the next step. And I love that, because Grant, with the new CBA that's going into effect, there's going to be a premium on developing your talent.
All right. For those that are questioning our numbers, they're right up on our screen. Right now we have 13,048. We're being simulcast on not just here on YouTube. Okay. We have many, many, many people watching on X live.
So that's the majority.
When I tell you about right now, we have 13,648. Am I reading that correctly?
You got it, partner.
Right now we have 13,648. I'm not making up the number. It's right there on my screen. That's our combined audience on all of the platforms that we're being simulcast on. So,
Hey, if you got a question about our numbers, you just shoot me an email. I'll be happy to provide you the analytics.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you know what? The numbers don't lie. We can take a screenshot and send it to you.
Yep.
And we do put it on social media from time to time. All right. One other sponsor that I've really enjoyed having on the program, and that is Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development. All right. Blazona Development, Sunrise Landing. And if you go to CalusaSunrise.com, you can check out what they have to offer. Various lot sizes, 6 models to choose from, no Mellorews, no homeowners. These are beautiful homes. And again, really good access to major arteries like I-5 and Highway 20. Just check it out for yourself. Sunrise Landing from Blazona Development. Just go to CalusaSunrise.com, CalusaSunrise.com, and check out Sunrise Landing. Well,
nailed it.
No beam tonight. No beam for the summer. And on Monday, here's what I'd like to do on Monday. I want you to think about this over the weekend, and I want you to give a letter grade on this season. All right? And tell us why. And think about what you would like to see in terms of a change for next year. And we want you to be realistic. All right? You're not going to have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on the team. So try to be realistic.
Yeah.
And on Monday, we'll go in that direction. How's that sound, Ryno?
That's great. And we'll be ready on the back end to, is that possible financially? I mean, we don't know the cap like that, but we'll make sure that we know what we're working with.
Yeah, you all have been great. We really wish that we had better news tonight, but it's going to be a long flight home because the season is over and there are no playoffs for the Kings. People want to know what time we're going to be on Monday, 8 o'clock Pacific. 8 o'clock Pacific. Ryno, appreciate you, buddy.
Appreciate you, Grant. I can't believe it's been 2 full seasons. Thank you so much. I've had so much fun being up here with you and everybody else. It's so fun.
Somebody said I'll be at work till 1900. All right. Well, you can go back and watch the show at your leisure by going to our YouTube channel right here. If you're watching on YouTube, it's called If You Don't Like That with Grant Napier. That's the name of the channel. So you can watch the show when you get home from work. How's that?
And if you can't watch it live, like Grant said, just tweet us your grade. You got our Twitter accounts, and we'll get those read as well. So we're happy to put them up.
Ryan, thank you, buddy.
My pleasure, Napes.
All right, and I want to thank everyone for, again, the great participation this season. I say this, I've been saying this for so many years. The passion that you all have for this basketball team is so special. And I've been blessed to live in a lot of different areas of the country. I've been blessed to cover a lot of different sports. But being affiliated with this franchise for 32 years and having a daily talk show where we could communicate, going through the good times, the bad times, laughing on the air, crying together on the air. You know what? When you win, it's great. We experienced that last year. When you lose, it's not so great. But the one thing that you fans are, you're not bandwagon fans. You're loyal to the bone, to the core. And I speak for Ryan when I say this. That's why we do this show. That's why Jerry at age 80 comes on with us every Wednesday and comes on with us every halftime and comes on when we have special shows. He might even come on Monday if it's not past his bedtime. Because of you, all right? Because of your commitment to this franchise. We've been through a lot together. We're going to be back doing it all again next year. You know, I think we did all 82 games this year, plus the 2 play-in games. I may have missed some shows. I know Ryan missed just a few shows. But we're bringing it every day and every night because of you. So thank you very much. You're all freaking awesome. Even though people that we disagree with, you're awesome. You're awesome because you make the channel successful, and you're awesome because you're loyal. And there's nothing better for me personally than being around a loyal fan of a team. Just ask all the Cub fans that finally won a World Series after decades of losing, Red Sox fans after decades of not being able to win, and look at the euphoria that they experienced. I don't know if you'll experience that with a parade in downtown Sacramento, but you got a taste of it last year. And when me and Ryan were doing our shows at various restaurants in Sacramento, the excitement was incredible. When we did the shows downtown on game nights, and people were going to the games and they were excited and they were stopping by and they were sharing their euphoria with us. That was special. First playoff games in downtown Sacramento at Golden One Center. It was special. You got a taste of it. You're not going to get a taste of it this year, but it's going to happen in the future. It just has to. And when it does, you're going to be very proud that you left this team with your arms wrapped around it instead of pushing it away. Okay? Because that's what being a sports fan is all about. That's what being a Kings fan is all about. I've had a lot of bad times. For those of you that were with us in the early 2000s, you know what I'm talking about. It's incredible being in Sacramento. It was amazing. Those days can come back. We got a taste of it last year. So in closing, thank you. It's the end of the season, but it's not the end of the content that we're going to be providing for you. Our next show is Monday at 8 o'clock. Have a great weekend. And just remember this. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. Oh, boy. Bye-bye.